Hey YouTube, this is Aaron. Today is April 15th, 2013, and today is my 300th day post-op from my top surgery, and I've been on testosterone for 318 days. In a couple weeks, on May 1st, I'll be 11 months on T. I have a couple things I want to talk about today. The first one is about my testosterone history. So I've been on T for almost 11 months, like I said, but I haven't been on what my doctor calls a therapeutic dose for that whole time. I was kind of skittish at the start, so I was doing pumps of the gel, and I did just one pump for about a week, and I didn't get struck by lightning, so I upped to 2 pumps of the 1% gel, and I stayed on that for 2 or 3 months. And then I went up to 2 pumps of the 1.62% gel, and I felt like that was a good place to be, and I could see small changes happening. So I stayed on that for about 5 months. And then I switched to a new doctor, and she measured my testosterone and talked about what they look for in the blood, which is total testosterone in the blood versus free testosterone. And she said that my amount of free testosterone was really quite low. And she asked if I wanted to increase my dose. And I realized at the moment she asked me that I was like beyond ready to increase my dose. So I went up to 3 pumps of the 1.62% gel. And that was almost 3 months ago. That was February 1st. And it's getting close to May 1st. So then she measured my testosterone again, and my amount of free testosterone is at a therapeutic dose. It's at a number that is, well within the male normal range. So I've been thinking about the contrast between having been on testosterone for almost a year and feeling like I haven't experienced a year's worth of changes. And I think it's because I was on such a low dose for so long, which I don't regret. I wanted changes to happen slowly. I wanted my voice to change slowly, and I'm fine with it, with that choice. But I'm also excited to think that I might still be getting some more relatively dramatic changes in the next 6 months or so. More body hair. I hope to be able to put on more muscle weight, which is hard because I'm not really that interested in eating, and you kind of have to eat to put on weight. I like working out though. Yeah, and I'm hoping to get some facial hair, which I expect I probably will at some point given my genetics, but I don't know how soon. Okay, so that's my first topic. The second thing I want to talk about is locker room. For the first 9 months or so since I started transition and after I recovered from my chest surgery, I've been working out at a fitness center that has a men's locker room and a women's locker room, and the only way to get to the fitness area with the machines and the weights is to go through one of those locker rooms. But they actually have an alternative system that they put together for people, parents who want to change with their kids of different genders, and disabled people who can't use the stairs. So there is an alternative, which I've been using, which is kind of a separate, small 1-person locker room on the main level near the entrance desk, and it has a kind of a disabled, accessible shower across the hall. So I've been doing that, and I'm really grateful that they have this option, and it means that I don't have to worry about changing in front of other people or whether people are going to think I belong or not. And it's been fine, but it's also been kind of isolating and lonely and cold. Like the locker rooms have carpet, and these 2 rooms are like all tile and linoleum, and it was good, but I was starting to feel like I'm done with this. I'm done being this isolated, questionably gendered person. I want to start using the men's locker room, which is no problem for them. They gave me a locker. I swipe. I go to the men's locker room. It's no problem. The thing that surprised me about the men's locker room is that it has what I've been told is called a gang shower. So it's like one big room with 4 shower heads on one side and 4 shower heads on the other side, and big empty room. There is no showering in private in that room. You can't even face the shower and hang your towel on the wall because there's no place to hang your towel. You hang your towel outside the shower room. So I just wasn't expecting that because the women's locker room has kind of stall showers where you can close a door. So the first day I just changed and I worked out and I went home to shower. And they also have an extra special locker room called the health center. So I got a tour of that, the men's health center, which has a sauna and a jacuzzi and a steam room and a lounge with a television and like fancier stuff like that. And it's not that much more per month to use that one. But they also have a gang shower. I'm like, you're paying all this money for a jacuzzi and you still don't have... Well, they have one private shower. It's like, again, the big room with all the shower heads. And then one of the shower heads is enclosed in like a stall. So I just don't know what I will feel most comfortable with. I could go back to using the isolated area. I could use the men's locker room and not shower. I could use the men's locker room and decide I don't care what anyone thinks. I'm going to go shower anyway, and if people want to glance at my crotch and don't see what they expect, then, fine, that's their problem. I might want to use the men's health center and use the private shower. I don't really have a sense of what the culture is in there. Like, do people never use the private shower? Do people feel it's weird, or does everyone use I don't know what to expect. So I'm glad that I have these choices. And I don't feel like the institution is unfriendly or anything. I just don't actually know what I'm going to be most comfortable doing. Of course, I can always just keep showering at home. Just with the kids, it can be hard to find the time to shower after working out. Whereas if I'm in the locker room, I'm already changing, I'm sweaty, I don't have children, it's like a really convenient time to shower. So it's a question of kind of figuring out what I'm comfortable with. Oh, the other thing about the men's health center is it feels very much like a men's space. Men hang out in there in the lounge, and they chat with each other, and like it feels more of a men's space than the regular men's locker room does, because people don't just hang out in there. They just change and go to work out. But in the men's health center, it feels more like a men's space, and I don't know how I fit into a men's space. I don't know how to be in a men's space. I don't know what it feels like. I still feel uncertain about how I'm perceived, and so I think it'll be an evolving decision-making process. I'd be curious to know if anyone else has been in those situations and how they've solved it. My third and final thing that I want to talk about in this video is I mentioned this locker room situation to a friend of mine. He's an older cis guy. He's in his, I don't know, early 50s probably. And my family is really good friends with his family, and they've been very supportive of me. And he has kind of expressed to me that he'd kind of like to be my man guide, my guide to all things about being a man. And I really appreciate that offer from him, and it's very sweet. But I had a conversation with him yesterday that made it clear to me that I don't think his guidance to the man world is exactly the guidance that I want. When I mentioned to him about my locker room quandary, his first question was, well, what's your long-term solution to that? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, are you going to get a prosthetic? And I said, I don't know. Not all trans guys think that, feel that they need to make any changes to that part of their body. Some do, some don't, and I don't really know for me yet. I'm going to kind of figure it out as I go along. And he said, well, I kind of think of it as a defining characteristic. And that's, I want to get away from that. I don't want to be a person who thinks of what's in a person's pants as being a defining characteristic of their gender. And that's kind of an old-fashioned way of thinking, and it's understandable that that's where he's at, but that's not where I want to go. What else did he say? I think I wrote notes for this reason. Oh yeah, the other thing he said that didn't sit well with me is he said that as I'm trying to figure out what to do in locker rooms, to think about other people's level of comfort. God, my nose is itchy. To think about other people's level of comfort, and I interpreted that to mean if you walk around the locker room without a dick, other people are going to feel weird, and that's not helpful to me. I don't need to be worrying about whether other men in the locker room will be closed-minded and narrow-minded and be uncomfortable with my body. That is not something I have to be concerned about. I need to be concerned about what I feel comfortable doing. I don't feel comfortable going into a men's locker room looking like a girl. When I look like a girl, and before I had top surgery, before I started T, I would not have been comfortable using the men's locker room, partly because I would know for sure everyone was seeing me as a girl. And that's, I mean, it would make them uncomfortable, but it also make me uncomfortable. So I know that that's my comfort, but I don't think that I need to make my decision about which locker room to use and whether or not to shower based on whether other men there will be comfortable or not with my body. Like, that's a whole big can of worms about worrying about other people's comfort with trans bodies and hiding trans bodies. So that's not where I want to go, and I want to maintain this friendship because this person is a wonderful person to have in my life, but I also am aware that, you know, I can kind of choose what kind of man I want to be, just like I've always been able to choose what kind of person I want to be. And I don't want to focus on guidance from somebody whose thinking is a little old-fashioned and not, you know, where I want to go. So that is my video for today. Happy Tax Day, everybody, and I look forward to reading your responses and comments and seeing all of your videos.